Boom, coming in hot, Chinch, on a little live postseason coverage, man.
Holy cow, man. Yeah, this is our first show. We are so excited to do this. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to our folks at Mellon who are sponsoring us. And like, this is a new thing for us. And we are so fired up. So many great baseball stories to talk about. But we got to start, Sean. This is unbelievable. So sad. With some sad news with somebody who I know you know personally and who you love so much. And Pete Rose just passed.
Yeah. Just right before we came on, I'm looking at him on TV right now. The Hit King passed away, 83 years old. Just definitely a heavy heart in this one, man. Got to know Pete well over the years. Obviously, his son, Pete Rose Jr., is a buddy of mine, and obviously a legend in Cincinnati there, and what he meant to baseball and what he meant to a lot of people in Cincinnati. So I'm just praying for his family during this tough time. I just texted Junior, and man, I'm watching some highlights over here now. What a player, man! Over the Hit King, games played, all-time hit leader, all-time games played leader. You want to talk about going hard, playing the game right, and just the way he played it. And I tell you what, Chinch, for me, I hope now he gets in the Hall of Fame. I hope now he gets into Cooperstown. I really think I remember having a conversation with him one time and asking Pete, what he thought of, of if he would get in the Hall of Fame. And he said, when I'm dead, Case, they'll put me in. That's what he said to me. So I'm hoping at some point, that Major League Baseball, down the road gets the Hit King into Cooperstown.
Yeah, no, it's beautifully said. Listen, we were so excited. We're going to go live tonight. It's going to be one of our most fun things we've ever done. But this hit, listen, I'll tell you, Sean, you know him personally, so I don't want to downplay. I don't know the man very well, but I know this. I know when I was 10 years old and 15 years old and 20 years old playing college baseball, you know what I learned? My dad was like, watch this guy play baseball. Watch this man play baseball. That's how you run to your position. That's how you care about the game. That's how you do it. That's how you play it. Everybody always says, you played with Deion Sanders, right? One of the most gifted athletes of all time. Everybody always said that, Pete Rose wasn't that much of an athlete. He hustled. First of all, BS on that, because if you have the most hits in the history of baseball, you're probably a great damn athlete, as you can attest to, as a great hitter. But I just know I ran out to my position from the time I was 9 years old until I've lived my life on the fact that you hustle wherever you go. And the guy's nickname was Charlie Hustle, because that's how you play baseball. And we lost somebody who taught a lot of people how to play baseball.
It's crazy. I just saw, I just saw him on Joe Buck's podcast, probably like a few months back. So crazy to think that he passed, but rest in peace, brother.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. It impacted a lot of people along the way and was always so kind to me. Had some great conversations with Pete over the years and was a great guy.
Yeah. And I'm sorry.
Was super funny too.
I'm sorry to you. I know Sean is friends with him. So I'm really sorry that this happened tonight. I'm sorry to all Reds Nation. Sean Casey's a Reds Hall of Famer. So I do think the best honor we can do to him, and you were the one that said this before he came on, like, hey, we're going to talk about Pete, but what did you say? That
Pete Rose loved nothing more than talking baseball. That's what he loved to do. He loved baseball more than anything in his life, outside of his kids. But, you talk about a guy that loved talking baseball. So we're going to talk a little baseball, a little Mets Braves and, what we saw tonight. And we'll probably we'll talk more Pete tomorrow too.
Yeah. 100%. Maybe we'll get some folks on and talk about, but hey, you know what? Let's honor Pete, because it's almost kind of fitting that Pete passed on a day where this was maybe the greatest regular season baseball game in the history of the sport happened today. And dude, look, my wife, I'll say this.
Yeah, right. You're a Mets fan.
I woke up this morning. Jess leaves it very early in the morning to go to work, to go to Citi Field, to go work for the Mets. And I woke up and there was this thing hanging on my thing. And it was this sweatshirt that I have never seen. And I'm like, I got to wear this New York Mets. I got to tell you, man, growing up in New York, being a New Yorker, the Mets fans were miserable all day. They thought they were going to lose both games. They thought this was going to be the worst day in Mets history. But guess what? Francisco Lindor is a New York Met, brother.
Yeah, what a crazy game. I mean, Schwellenbach was really dominating the whole game. It was what was it? It was 1-0 till the 8th.
Yep.
And then Schwellenbach lets up a leadoff single. Snicker takes him out, and then all of a sudden the Mets are up for 6 runs with Nimmo going deep. Yep. And then the Braves come back, though they were up 3-0. The Braves come back 6-4, put up a 4 spot. All of a sudden they're up 7-6. And then Lindor comes and at the top of the ninth hits a 2-run bomb to put him up 8-7. It was just an incredible game of back and forth. And it just goes to show you, man, what Lindor means to that team. They would not be where he's at right now, without him. It was an incredible game. And I thought the other thing too with Diaz late in the game when he told Mendoza, I'm going back out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you love to see that. And you got to love Mendy because, Diaz did not look good in the 8th. And for Mendy to be like, I trust you. You want to go back out there? You're our guy. Go get the last 3 outs. And he did. So it was just an incredible game for the Mets to get in. And then the second game too, Chinch. I mean, I thought it was great, for the integrity of the game. Mendy played all the starters.
Yeah.
Alonso was there. The only guy that wasn't in there was really Lindor and Alvarez. And obviously Lindor has the bad back. So the Braves won game 2, 3-0. They both get in. But I love the fact that Mendy still played the starters, still played Nimmo and Alonso and all the guys, that are in there in the first game. So I just because the Diamondbacks are watching, going, man, we need the Mets to win, and so I thought it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, and look, okay, there's probably 3 things. There's a Mets side, there's a Brave side, and there's just the baseball side. And let's just stick with baseball because stick with Mendy. You were the hitting coach there. You drove to the stadium with this guy last year, and he got the job with the Mets. And you were like, he's the right guy, and it's for a reason. And this entire year, and it's funny, don't forget, folks who aren't from New York, Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling are the 2 analysts for the Mets. And the respect that they have talked about him with on the local broadcast over the year, when these 2 guys, they don't need to care about the coach. They don't need to care about the manager, but he has impressed them. He's impressed you. I think he's impressed that team with the way he goes about his business. We talked about it before this morning, in between when we had Smoltz on and doing his show. JD Martinez was like 0 for 35, and he got put in a lineup a couple nights ago, and Mendy got a little crap from the New York media, and he's like, that's my guy. I trust him. I believe in him. He said he's ready. I'm putting him in. And what are the Mets going to be without him? Boom. Great move by him. I'm going to keep my closer in. Mendoza going to the mound. A manager going to the mound and not taking out the pitcher, that means the manager walked to the mound, looked the guy in the eye, and was like, you know what? My gut says I trust this guy. You don't see that in baseball with all the analytics anymore. So talk a little bit about your friend Carlos Mendoza.
Well, I mean, Mendy's done a great job. You need to go to the end of May. They're one of the worst teams in baseball. They were the best team in baseball from the end of May on. I mean, really, they played incredible baseball for 4 months. We were talking about Lindor really picked it up too, and he's involved in that MVP competition. I think when you look at the team and what Mendy's done, I mean, Mendy's done an incredible job. And if you watch the Mets night in and night out, you'll see how he works the bullpen, how he messed the lineup a little bit here and there where he felt like he needed to. But the guy's a leader. You heard Lindor after the game said, I'm so happy for so many people. And Mendy was one of the guys that he said he was so happy for. So I knew he was the right guy from day one, from the jump when I was with him last year with the Yankees. He's a baseball guy. I love to see him a lot of things. He went with his gut throughout the season and even in these games today. And, he's a leader of men. So it was just it was amazing to see these guys rally around each other. I think Iglesias coming in when they called him up when they did, and he has all this, the song he's going, the Oh My God song. And it brought a lot of mojo to that clubhouse. And you saw it again today. We had that big hit to tie it up to right field against Iglesias. So Mendy, great job. Lindor, great job. That whole team, great job. And like you said, with the JD Martinez thing, at the end of the day, you need JD Martinez to hit it for you in the postseason. You got to keep throwing him out there to get him hot. So I love that move. I love the leadership of that. Doesn't worry about what anyone else thinks. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, and listen, folks, Sean Casey does this thing. It's called Breakthrough Pro. It's like it's all mental mindset and how he was a great baseball player and what your focus is and how you do that. And you always say, like, it all comes from the head. How do you lead people? How do you do that? So let's flip it over to the Braves, because their manager, nobody had, most people who weren't in baseball, like you and me, didn't know who he was and whatever. Guess what? That dude had to go into a locker room with this team that just got devastated. I mean, devastating loss for the Braves. And it would have been a travesty if they lost the second game. And he went in there, he led that team, he came out, and he was a great manager, and his team played for him. When, by the way, last year's MVP was hurt months ago, and multiple players on that Braves team were hurt months ago. And he stuck them together, and kudos to the entire Braves organization for.
Well, Brian Snitker is one of the best managers in the game. He has been. They've won 7 postseasons in a row. I mean, this guy's one of the best managers in the game, has been for a long time. Won a World Series a few years ago. So we all know who he is. Especially in Atlanta, they know who he is. And I think, one of the biggest things about Snit is that, Matt Olson said it after the game, after they won that second game, next man up. I mean, even though Acuna went down and Albies went down for a while, obviously he's back now. Austin Riley went down. Strider went down. I mean, they had some big dogs go down, and they still found a way to get to the postseason. So you got to get handed to Brian Snitker for keeping those guys together and kind of keep charging forward. And, after that first game, Chinch, he's in that clubhouse saying, hey, listen, we got to win one. We got to win one. Everyone, let's get together. Let's win one game, find a way. They did. They won it 3-0. Now, the interesting storyline about that second game was Chris Sale was supposed to start it.
Right.
And then they said he went down with some back spasms. I have to think that's some, I'd have to think, I don't think that's real. I think they were thinking that we can win this game without Sale, and then we could have Sale for game one. Now, I'm not sure if that's true or not. Those are the optics I see. It makes so much sense to say, the Mets are in. Lindor's not going to play game 2. If we can't beat this team with their mojo being a little down because they already know they're in, this is the one time we should be able to win. And then have Sale, because you already burned Schwellenbach. And now, you don't want to burn Sale too going into a 3-game series against the Padres. So to have Sale, I got a feeling Sale's going to be all right to go game 1. But I don't know. I just think that.
I think you're right with that, but let's go to something where, for folks who are joining us now who don't normally listen to our podcast, please do, by the way, please do whenever you can. But however, Sean always has been preaching for the last couple months. He's like, I don't know if I want to win a division and sit there and watch everybody play for a week or two. These two teams, I don't think this is it's unprecedented, never happened in baseball before. These two teams had to go into this series, and honestly, no Severino on the one side, no Sale on the other. You thought they were going to burn both of them, but they have had trauma, and they've been stressed out, and they've been playing playoff games for 2 weeks. Right. Do you think it makes both of these teams, the Braves and the Mets, more dangerous that they're literally have been up against the wall for a week and a half, and now they're just pushing that into the playoffs as compared to a Yankees who aren't going to play and a Dodgers who aren't going to play for 8 days, I think, Sean. 8 days.
Well, I think coming down the stretch when you're playing playoff baseball just to get in, that helps you when you get to the playoffs because you've been doing it for weeks now. I mean, I think most teams have that. I don't love the fact that the teams that are the number 1 seeds and the best seeds aren't going to play till next Saturday. This game is such a rhythm and timing, especially for hitters. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they're going to take not play for 6 days or 5 days or whatever, I think that's a lot. That's a lot of days. That's not an advantage, I don't think. I think advantage to the wild card teams that are still playing. You got to win to move on anyhow. You might as well win that first 3-game series and keep moving ahead. We'll see what happens. I mean, the Dodgers got bumped the last 2 years in the division series. A lot of teams haven't survived the way this thing is set up. So I really believe, Chinch, if the Yankees get bumped off or the Dodgers get bumped off, or some of these teams that have, Guardians that have, gotten these number 1 season, they get bumped off early. I have to think that we're going to have to look at this playoff situation and see if it's really an advantage to the teams that do get that number 1 seed or that bye.
I agree. What do you think of John Smoltz was on our show this morning, folks? And what do you think of his thing is saying you have to give those teams that have a break an advantage? And his thought was, what if they got every home game for the postseason series?
Dude, I love the way Smoltzy thinks, you know, and you're right. I think there has to be something that has to be an advantage at some point for teams that, especially that number 1, number 2 seed. You play all those games all season long. You win the number 1 and number 2 seed. What's the advantage for you? You know what I mean? So I don't mind it. Yeah, I like what Smoltzy's saying. You know, it's got to be something. Or do you go back to the 1-game playoff?
Oh, I love a 1-game.
One game, and then hey, listen, you don't want the 1-game playoff? Win the division. You know what I mean? You don't get 3 games, you get 1. So, you know, that might have to be the way they do it too. Yeah,
that's right. All right. We're going to wrap up here soon, but like, first of all, what's the series right now you're looking at that you are like, ooh, can't wait to see this? We got, by the way, I'll say this. I'll start with this and maybe make this a suggestion. 2 young shortstops under the age of 24 years old who might be 2 of the top 10 players in baseball are going head to head at some point. You got the Royals, you got Bobby Witt Jr.
And Gunnar Henderson. Yeah,
you got stuff like that. I'm
looking forward to the Tigers. The Tigers, man. I want to see. You know, they've been playing such great baseball. Good young team. I loved what AJ Hinch said. We got Scooble, and then we're just gonna be chaos with bullpen games, pretty much setting up there. Hey, the Brewers have been good to our show all year long too. Looking forward to those guys. You know, we've had a lot of guys. You know, Garrett Mitchell on and Bryce Terang and Yelich and Pat Murphy. Good bunch of guys there. That Padre team they're good, man. That Padre team's good. They almost caught the Dodgers at the end. That team, I looked at that situation. I go, good for the Mets. I'd rather play the Brewers in 3 than to play the Padres. That's just how I feel that stacks up. So it's going to be a great postseason, man. Nothing better, Chinch, than day game baseball for the postseason. You come home, 2 o'clock games tomorrow. It's going to be fun.
Oh, even today, Sean and I are texting. It's like 2:30 in the afternoon, and we're texting on like the 3rd inning of the Met game. It's so cool. Yeah. Let your kids get out of school early. Maybe don't take them. Don't let them into the game.
It's fun. It's fun.
All right. So those of you who are just joining us, we really appreciate you. We haven't done this in ever. I don't think
it's our first time. Your first time live.
Done this. Somebody just asked where our hat's from. This is our boys Melon, who are sponsoring the show. Listen, we're very happy to be with you guys. Join us. Check out our all of our pages, our Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen. Please go to our YouTube page. And listen, man, I am so honored and lucky to work with Sean Casey, who's one of the greatest players ever. And this is really cool that we're doing this for the first time.
Live postseason coverage here on Believe. We're gonna have a lot of fun. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Chinch, I'll catch you tomorrow on our non-live show that we're on Believe too.
All right,
all right, man. I'll see you, buddy. See you, everybody. Thanks for listening.